Okay, we're going to begin solving. This is assignment 6.6. This is 6.6, and this is numbers 9 through 15. And this is now dealing with an option arm mortgage. Option arm is the trickiest mortgage we will use this year, and so we're going to learn how to calculate it. Now, I'm going to calculate number 9, and then I'm going to calculate number 10, and then I'm going to calculate number 11, but I'm going to move straight from number 10 to number 12 and to number 13. And I'm going to move straight from number 11 to number 14 and to number 15. And so this is just a way to do this. And I'm going to kind of explain this as I go, but it's just going to be easier if we go in that order. So go ahead and set up your paper and get it set this way. And we're going to kind of separate these. Now on an option arm, you have 3 choices on your loan. You may pay what is known as a regular amortization payment. Okay, and the regular amortization payment is just the regular payment. You can pay an interest-only payment, and you can pay a negative amortization payment. Now, in this case, depending on what you pay, it's going to affect the way that your loan works out. Now, we're not going to change the interest rate on this option arm, so it's not going to really have the arm part. We're just going to look at the risk of not paying the regular amortization payment and leave the other risk out of it. So first, we're going to need to do some calculations. So I'd go ahead and set up your paper with the 5 functions for each problem, for 9, 10, and 11. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now we're set up to find our payments. So to do this, with the regular amortization, it's a 30-year loan at a 4.5% rate, and we're doing a $200,000 amount. And with regular amortization, number 9 is regular amortization. Our future value is 0, and so we're going to compute our monthly payment. So I'm going to hit that into my calculator real fast. 30, second N, 4.5 I/Y. $200,000, make it negative, present value 0, future value, compute payment. My payment's going to be $1,013.37. So 1013.37. Now it's important to note here, these questions aren't actually asked, but I'm going to go ahead and answer them anyway. We keep asking how much we owe after 5 years. Well, how much will we owe if we pay the regular amortization payment? So at this point, I'm going to change in to 5 years, and I'm going to compute my future value. That's what I'm going to do in order to get the answer. Again, this question's not asked in the homework, but it's worth looking at for comparison. So I'm going to do 5 second N, and then I'm going to compute my future value. And after 5 years of paying this, I will owe $182,315.83. Now we would recast the loan, and I'm just going to tell you that if you recast the loan and the interest rate doesn't change, your new payment is still going to be $1,013.37. The only reason this payment would change is when the interest rate changes because it is an ARM. We'll do that at a later time. Right now, don't worry about it. So I want you to see that if you pay this payment every month for the first 5 years, you're going to wind up continuing to pay this payment. Now let's switch it to a interest only. Now with an interest only, that means that there is no amortization. And we know that what that means is that our loan balance is not going to change. So we're going to take out a loan for $200,000, and after paying on it for 5 years, we will still owe $200,000. Now this is still a 30-year loan, but it won't really matter what you put in your calculator here because with an interest-only loan, the time does not matter. So we're going to put all of this in our calculator and we're going to compute our monthly payment. And our monthly payment is going to be $750. I'm going to just double check my math there before I move on. What I'm doing now is just multiplying it the other way, multiplying it by 0.045 and dividing it by 12. That is, in fact, my payment. Now, I'm going to skip number 11 for a moment, and I'm going to move on to number 12. How much is owed after 5 years of paying the zero amortization payment? So we paid this payment for 5 years. How much will we owe? This is zero amortization, so the amount that we will owe is $200,000 because we have set this loan up where we don't pay anything except for interest. That's why they call it an interest only. So number 13 says to recast it. Now a recast is when they get you on track, kind of like getting you on track to graduate. They say, okay, we've got to put an end date on this loan. And so you have the remainder of your loan time, which is 25 more years, to pay it off. So what happens then is when you recast it, you always recast it to regular amortization, which means the future value is zero. So your loan amount is your interest amount is 4.5%. You still owe all $200,000 of your loan, and so we're going to punch that all into our calculator, make your future value zero. $200,000 as your present value, 25 years, and 4.5%. And your monthly payment will go up to $1,011.66. Oh, I'm sorry, $1,111.66. So you're going to see a pretty sizable jump in your monthly payment. You haven't been paying $1013, you've been paying $750, and you've done this for 5 years. Your payment goes up to $1,111.66. It jumps up quite a bit for you if you've been paying $750. Now, negative amortization loans are different. Not quite sure what my mouse is doing here. I'm going to try to figure that out. So with a negative amortization loan, it's a 30-year term. Sorry, I'm trying to get my mouse working here. It's a 30-year term. Your interest rate is 4.5%. I promise my hand's not shaking like this. I don't know why my pen is acting funny. I'm sorry, I've set this up wrong already. I've gotten distracted, and here I am setting it up wrong. So maybe that's why the pen was shaking. It didn't like the way I was putting it in. With your negative amortization payment, you're actually going to have a 2% rate, but that's not a real interest rate, and so I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So these numbers right here, these two numbers are false. What's actually happening is they're allowing you to pay 2% in your monthly payment, but you owe 4.5%. So what's going to happen is they're going to add 2.5% to your future value. So you're not really going to have a future value of zero. This is really a false scenario used to set up your loan to give you a nice low payment, and you're going to have to pay for that in the future. And we're going to find out that it's a really bad idea financially. So I'm punching all this information into my calculator, and I'm getting my monthly payment of $739.24. I'm going to check my math there. It seems high to me. Yes, it is $739.24. So in this case, your other payment is a little bit lower. Now, I imagine they would actually give you a lower rate for this payment, and the reason is because this isn't far enough away from the interest only. But let's go ahead and calculate it because that is what the worksheet says, and that is what I typed. To find out, number 14, how much is owed after 5 years of paying the negative amortization payment, we have to change in to 5 years. Sorry, I'd like to be writing in blue here. But we also have to change our interest per year to 4.5%. Now that's the amount we really owed. When we do that and we find our future value, we're going to kind of have a little bit of a surprise here. So change into 5 years, 5 second in, 4.5 I/Y. And when you compute your future value, you find that, in fact, your loan amount has gone up. Now, I really didn't set this up very well, because if I had set it up very well, you would be... okay, now my pen has gone crazy. Okay, if I had set it up well, this amount would be more, but you owe $200,000, $722.56. If this number had been smaller, you would have owed even more. All right, let's go ahead and finish this problem. The math is correct. Again, the problem could have probably been written better, but the math is correct. All right, so when we set up this problem, now you have 25 years left on your recast. You always recast to regular amortization, so that means that you're going to have a 0 future value. You're going to have a 4.5% interest rate, unless, of course, it goes up. And you're going to owe negative $200,722.56. And now we're going to compute our monthly payment. And our monthly payment is going to go up to $1,115.68. Okay, so clearly this example was not as good as the one we did in yesterday's homework assignment, because the difference was more dramatic. However, this is the correct answer, and this is how you do an option ARM loan. You start with the teaser rate, find your monthly payment, with assuming 0 future value, although we know that that's not actually true, it's false. That gives you your payment, and then we change our number of years to 5 years, or to whatever they're asking us for here. And we change our interest rate to the actual interest rate, which is given to us up here in the loan terms. And then we compute our future value. We make that our present value. We go back to zero future value, regular amortization. We have 25 years left. We change our interest rate, and we find our new payment. Our new payment in this case would only be a few dollars more. But in any case, your payment's going up over $100, and more importantly, it's going up a lot more than $739.24. It's important to remember that to get this payment, you've been paying $739 a month. Well, if you've been paying $739.24 a month, your payment just went up by $376.44. And that's going to be a sticker shock for you if you've been used to paying that. This is why I recommend always getting a fixed rate loan, and especially staying away from option ARM mortgages, because really they make it where you have to mess yourself up. You have to make the bad decisions. But unfortunately, we know that knowledge is only 20% of the game. We know that we make bad decisions, and that's just something that happens unless we are very disciplined.